Welcome back to Bay Sunday. The Underground River is a fascinating historic novel about the Underground Railroad. And here to tell us more about it is the author Martha Conway. Welcome to Bay Sunday.
Thank you for having me.
So thank you for being here. So this is a historical fictional novel.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the set up the book for us.
Okay, well, it takes place in pre-Civil War America, about 1840. And it's about a young costume designer named May Bedloe. She gets a job on a ramshackle riverboat theater going down the Ohio River. And at that time, one side of the Ohio River was north, one was south, and May gets blackmailed into helping with the Underground Railroad.
Okay, so what inspired you to write a novel like this? Because I know this is your fourth novel that you've written.
Yes, yes. Originally, my inspiration was theater. She is on a riverboat theater, and I always wanted to write about a small, intimate theater group. I thought that would be a lot of fun. I read a little bit about a man from England who came and actually built the first riverboat theater. He built a stage on a flatboat and poled it down the Ohio River. There was no steam at that time, and I thought that would be a really fun, just fun setting to write about. And he went actually with his family, with his wife and his children. They were sort of like the Victorian Partridge Family, and they would play towns on one side or the other. So I tried to emulate that when I was writing about this riverboat theater. And then, of course, the time period, pre-Civil War, and fugitive slaves and the abolitionist movement. It was a very, very hot time, interesting time.
Mm-hmm. And so your character in this novel, pre-Civil War, what are some of the challenges that she faces as the book progresses?
Well, one of her main challenges is herself. She is what people might say these days as a little bit on the spectrum. She is socially awkward, and she never really thought about slavery or the slavery issue. She was raised in the North until she got this job. And her biggest challenge was understanding the gravity of this situation and deciding to do something to help.
Okay, and so how did you go through the research throughout this process? Because you've done research before on other novels. How did this compare to those other ones?
Well, there was a lot of research that went into this novel because there are a lot of different aspects to it. There's the theater aspect, there's the Underground Railroad aspect, and I spent about 3 or 4 months, even before I started writing the novel, just doing research and reading as many journals and primary sources as I could. I also made a couple of trips to the Ohio River, one with my father, who is now 92 years old, and we just drove along, stopping at local history museums and historical societies, talking to the people, and even though it's 150 years later, I felt I got to know the lifestyle a little bit.
Right. Martha, it's 150 years later, but you say that this novel, this fiction, it's relevant today. Why?
I think that it's relevant today because of the way the main character, May, changes from being a political bystander to being a political activist. And I think that's something that a lot of people these days are struggling with, how to do that, how to go from somebody who is involved maybe in politics in terms of voting and having opinions, but then how do you make that next step into actual activism and doing something about a cause that you believe in.
Mm-hmm. What's the message from this novel?
I would say that the main message is that change like this has to come from the heart, and understanding and empathy, which often comes from storytelling and watching theater and being involved in other people's stories and understanding their plight. That's, I think, how true change comes.
Okay, Martha Conway, thank you so much for joining us here this morning. The book is called The Underground River. Thank you so much. It is in stores right now. Again, the book is called The Underground River. Coming up, a life-saving nasal spray that can prevent opioid overdoses when Bay Sunday returns in just a moment.